Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and get started by actually creating our blockout. We are going to get started by defining over here our stair pieces and over here like these wall pieces. And we'll take it from there pretty much. So I can see like, yes, it's like a wall piece and then it looks like there's like ground in between. Because else they wouldn't be able to like grow some foliage and stuff like that. Now, here we have our scale character. What we are going to use for a blockout is we are going to use the built-in Unreal Engine modeling tools. You will only have these in Unreal Engine 5. If you do not have it, by going into selection mode and modeling, you can go to edit and then plugins, and you might need to just activate it by typing in modeling over here. And then we have our modeling tools editor mode, and you can just go ahead and turn it on. It says beta, but it has already been in beta for like a really long time. Anyway, these tools are awesome. They basically give us a lot of functionality, although it's not as good as a 3D modeling software. It gives us enough of like the basic functionality that we need to basically create our blockout pieces. Now I'm going to get started by just creating our entire environment the way I want it to look. And once that is done, then what I will do is I will go ahead and like divide everything up into logical modular pieces. When I say modular, it's basically a technique of reusing models so that you need to make less models in total. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get started by going into my shapes and create a box over here. And then what I want to do is I want to get started by like deciding the height that we have of our character over here. Now, in order to get the height for like this wall over here, it's probably better to define the dimensions of a stair piece. Stair pieces are often between 20 and 30 centimeters high in like public spaces. Now, because these stairs over here that you can see, they are quite like large and quite rough, I think probably like around 25 centimeters it would be good. And in terms of like the depth, they can be anywhere from like 20 to 50 centimeters, or it doesn't really matter for the depth. It's just about like how you want your stair to look. So what I can do, which is pretty nice, is I can go up here and I can set my dimensions. So let's set the height to 25. And let's have a look. Yeah, it looks like a pretty nice height where it like comes roughly around your ankles. Let's go for the depth of like, let's do 30. Because I want my depth to be like a little bit wider. I don't know, maybe 35. Because like I want these stairs to be like just like nice and like big stones and stuff like that. So let's say, yeah, let's do 35. And then for my width, I would argue that probably if I have a look at this, you would probably want to have like 1, 2 or even 3 people be able to walk up and down the stairs at the same time. So let's start with maybe like 250. Yeah, 250 feels nice. Of course, right now I'm mostly just guessing. But let's go ahead and click and press accept to place our box. And I think that this is like a pretty good one. So now having this stair over here, I'm just going to move it probably behind here. Behind this guy. And let's move this guy over to the side over here. Now what I can do is I can get started by just counting my stairs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy does it. So you have stair number... Oh, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we have like a panel over here. So this piece would most likely become smaller. But yeah, we can do that later. That should be fine. So let's go ahead and start by just duplicating this by pressing Ctrl-C and Ctrl-V. And I'm just going to switch my snapping to 5. So that I can do like a proper snap over here. 1, 2, 3 and number 4. Now that I know this, I can also already create like those side panels that we have next to this over here. So for those, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and let's go ahead and create a new box, and let's make this maybe like 20. No, it needs to be bigger. Let's do 30. Yeah, I feel like 30 is pretty good. So what I can do with this one is I can go ahead and I can just place it over here and press accept. And now I can use my poly edit tools over here. Poly edit tools allows me to have basic selections like you can see over here. And I can just go ahead and now while having this selection, I can move it. It's not always perfect, but it does work. So I can, for example, move this selection over here. And this makes sure that we have, of course, everything covered on the side. But I can also select over here edges when I go to these. And what I can do is I can use this one to basically move my edges a little bit out. Like you can see over here. So that this is like a straight piece. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and move this edge and just move it down over here. So we have like a simple corner. Now the cool thing is that it also has tools like extrude. So I can go ahead and extrude this. And for now what I will do is I will go ahead and I will extrude this. So that I cannot use my snapping for it. For now I will extrude it up until this point. And then we can decide later on what else we want to do. I feel like that having this, it would make more sense if I have like a little bit of like a height difference in here. So what I'm going to do is give it like a slight height difference. And then probably also like a slight height difference over here. And then I can grab like these bottom pieces over here by holding shift. You can select multiple pieces. And let's move this up and move this down. We don't need to make this super precise, but I'm just teaching you guys. That's why I'm going a little bit slower. I can then press accept. And I can go ahead and I can duplicate this and just also attach it over here until it starts clipping in. Perfect. So we now have like our base there. Now the next thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and create like this slab over here. And then once we've done that, we can pretty much go ahead and like create the rest of the pieces. Seeing this one, it pretty much looks like this. It pretty much looks like a duplication of like one of the stair pieces. And what you want to do is that whenever you duplicate something, these are all still instances, meaning that if I change one, all of them would be changed. You can see because the static mesh stays the same. So whenever you want to change a mesh without changing the rest, you just want to press this dupe button under create and just press accept right away. And now what I can do is I can go in and I can go in over here and I can now go to my poly edit and I'm going to like move this one down a bit. So this is just going to be like a thin slab and out a little bit. And I'm mostly just like guessing what I want to do. So yeah, I'm going to change the design a little bit more. I'm just going to make it like a not too large piece. So probably something like this would be fine over here. So let's go ahead and accept this. And then what I want to do is I want to just go ahead and create another box right next to it. Over here. And I'm going to have this box probably sticking out a little bit and just pushing it in. And I'm going to basically push this one straight into this area over here. Make sure to just like align this roughly like this. And then I'm going to move it down a little bit. So this is just like an extra stone piece that is attached to it. And now I can go ahead and let's move this guy over. I can now go ahead and also place this one over here. So the reason I want to do this is because I noticed that of course this entire thing is on like a higher level. So in order for me to make these walls, I first had to decide like how high my stairs are going to be. Now that I know that, I can go ahead and I can select all of my stair pieces and everything else over here. And, oh sorry, not all my stair pieces. I make a mistake because I want to first move my stair piece up like this. And that's what I wanted to do. And then I actually wanted to move these pieces down. It's a bit annoying sometimes to see them. But what I can do is I can go ahead and select them. And this time I'm just going to go ahead and press extrude. There we go. And now the cool thing is because it's a duplicate, when I press accept, it will also end up doing the same thing on the other side. So cool. Now at this point, just go ahead and select everything. And what you can do is you can already add a simple gray material to them. There we go. That looks a bit better. I'm also going to duplicate my gray material and call this gray underscore dark. And I'm actually going to use this one for my terrain so that I can properly see the difference. So I'm just assigning it to my terrain and just making it a little bit darker. Like that, see? Okay, nice. We have our base. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and create a box. And let's start with like 100 by 100 by 100 over here. Like this. And I'm going to get started by just like placing the box down. Now next, this box is basically going to become this wall. So looking at that, we want to extend this out until where the wall piece ends. It would make sense to basically like extend this probably up until like the exact same height over here as the wall. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move this back. And first of all, I want to just move this out. So for that, I'm just going to decide like, which direction do I want to go? I can over here snap by grid. So I know that this is still 100. So if I just snap it by 100, I can make like 100. So 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, or 4 meter. 4 meters maybe. Would 4 meters make sense? I just like to look at it from like a distance. Yeah, I think 4. Because if I do 5. Let's go for 5 meters for now. And we can always change it later on if needed. So we got this piece over here. And it will have like a little trim. And then in here, it will most likely show like, or have like a little bit of like ground. Or maybe like some tiles and just have like some ground around certain areas. For now, we don't really have to make that. So what I'm going to do is I'm already going to decide 1 meter. Let's do 1 meter. I'm already going to decide like how much space there is between these two pieces. So what I'm going to do is let's say 1.5 meters probably. I feel like that would make sense. Okay, awesome. So we now have like defined the scale roughly. I'm now going to go up in my poly edit, press insert edge loops. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to insert like a nice little loop over here. And then I press done on the left hand side. At this point I can just go ahead and I can select these edges over here. And let me just also do this one. And I'm going to extrude this just to give it like a little bit of like an edge. And then I just know to do that. When you press extrude, right now it is, oh, let's turn off snapping. Right now it is extruding on like a single direction. You just want to go ahead and set the direction, set the direction mode to selected triangle normals. And this way, see, we can do like a proper extrusion based upon the normal direction. We can press accept, add a nice material to this. And also if you ever want to change your pivot point, you can always click pivot and press center. Do make sure that if you already have duplicated this model more than once, all of the models will shift based upon the new pivot point. But I can go in and I can go in here and just like do this. And that gives me like a solid base already ready to go. Now at this point what I can do is I can go ahead and I can just reuse this piece. That should not really be a problem. Not for a blockout at least. We might need to like change it a little bit later on. But what I can do is if I just turn off snap scaling, I can go in here and just already like scale this a little bit so that it gives us just like a better look. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a blockout. So let's just do this. Okay, awesome. Let's see, so we have this piece over here. Yeah, let's end that piece for now. And we might want to change that up a little bit later on. Okay, so now what we can do is we can go ahead and already create the we can already create the second set of stairs. That was a little bit of a tongue twister for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to, let's see, duplicate all of these over here. Here we go. Let's go ahead and then after duplicating, move it down over here. And then this one would probably like start at this point. And now basically what we can say is, okay, so we have this and then we have like half a stair on each side also. So what I can do is I can go ahead and I can just duplicate this. And I can probably set the scaling on the green axis to 0.5. Like it makes sense if it is like even, because they often do like symmetry in Japan. So we can go ahead and just do like long stair. And then 2 half stairs for like single persons or single people. And then what we can do is we can also go ahead and move this one over here. Although these ones we probably need to replace anyway, because we are going to make everything a little bit longer. So we have this one. Now what we can do is very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's nice when we define our stairs that we know what to do. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 5, 6, 7, 8. So we just need to go ahead and we need to, let me just move this over here. Turn on my snapping, duplicate all of this, and move it over here. Okay, that's good. And now what we can do with this one is we can go ahead and just press duplicate, accept. And for this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and select all of it. And I'm going to start by just like moving it properly to the top. And let's turn off our snapping. Let's see, that's like the right height, I believe. Let's move it further a little bit. There we go. And now we can also go ahead and I always like to make my blockouts quite detailed, just because it gives me like a much better sense of what I'm looking for. When I have this one, I can go ahead and press the search bar in my static mesh, and then just select the other tree and replace the static mesh, and it should just instantly replace them over there. I don't know why this one decided to like have like the tiniest difference in height. It's a bit annoying, but it's not something that's really worth fixing. Yeah, and over there it's fine. Strange. But okay, so we now have our base there also. So we now know that the next thing over here that would come would be the would be the doors and everything. So we can already start by creating like some walls around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to duplicate this chunky piece over here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to already move this up. Probably up until this point. And let's have a look. Sometimes you hear my audio change a bit. It's because I'm looking on my other screen. So I do apologize for that. But hopefully it's not too distracting. Let's place it over here to get started with. Don't forget to duplicate your mesh because you don't want to edit the original. Most likely I will still make that mistake sometimes where I accidentally am editing the original. And I feel like that this is like, yeah, this feels like a pretty nice distance, but we will know if it is a nice distance when we actually place our door over here. So for now, this is just fine. I'm going to go ahead and also grab this and just move it all the way down. There we go. So we got this one, and now I want to kind of like go around the corner because we have like this little corner around here. So that would make sense if I then go ahead and let's say duplicate this, rotate it 90, and I feel like if I would go around a corner and I have like a distance, it would make sense if it just like touches the end of the previous wall over here. Like they wouldn't really clip walls into each other. So let's have a look. How does that look? Is that too much or? I don't know. It does feel quite high. That's the only thing that I'm not really completely sure about. But yeah, we kind of like just need to check. Like for some reason everything feels a little bit higher. Like that. But let's just have a look. So what I can do is I can go ahead and once again use this one. And just like clip it in here. Just to give it like a flat ground. And at this point, let's push this forward. I think this is probably enough. Yeah, it would be nice if we have like a little corner here, because when we have a corner here, we can place like a tree or something. Like by this point, I am mostly like just making stuff up because there isn't enough information. I would think that it would make sense to like have another one next to it. Yeah, we're gonna have a look. I have the urge to make it this low over here. But let's just wait, and because we can do that later on. So let's just have a wait for now. I'm just going to place one more over here, and this one is just kind of like, you will not really see it. It's just here to fill in the missing space. Like this, okay. And then what I'm going to do is probably also do the same over here. That would make most sense. Let's go here. And this one, because we like want to end it, I'm going to just like end it off screen so that it will basically be like around the corner and you will not be able to see it. So let's go ahead and maybe extend it like a little bit more. But I'm not sure if I want to extend it this much, because I want to create like a corner. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. Let's extend it once more and then rotate this version over here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and push this in here. Okay, so this is going to be like a corner piece. So you can see how I'm trying to already reuse pieces. So that reusing it already gives me an idea for when I want to use modular workflows on like how to use everything. And here, nice. So now we can like also close that one off. We have like a corner that goes just around it, so that's also cool. And this one we can just go ahead and duplicate over here. So that's like a corner here and another corner here to just go around it. Now at this point, although I am going to quickly grab this piece and push it all the way down. And accept. There we go. So now we have like a nice... Okay. Now we do not have a nice wall. Let's undo that. Let's try again. Yeah, does that work? Let's grab the piece. Accept. Okay, now it works. Strange. Anyway, what I want to do at this point is I want to try and already get like sort of like a camera angle, because then I have like a better idea of what exactly I need to do. So yes, you might think like, oh, it's going so slow creating the blockout and stuff like that, but actually creating the blockout is such an important part that yeah, we just really want to make sure that we already do everything correctly, and it will save us a lot of time later on. So just trust me. So take your time creating your blockout. I'm gonna go over here to like the 3 lines and create camera here, cinematic camera. And there's a few things that I like to do with my cinematic camera. The first one is that in my film back, I like to always set this to 24 by 13.5. It's just like a default value that I like to set. Now in my lens settings over here, I can choose which zoom I want to do. And often I go for a wide shot. I often go for 35 millimeters, which is some, oh, not 45, 35 millimeters over here, which is like a bit of like a more wider shot. And if I want to go for more like close-ups, I often like to go for like 50. So I need to see, because let's start with 35. Remember how I said that I want to have this corner going outside of my view. So basically I need to see if I can find a place where I still have a little bit of space left over here. And now that we have these walls, we know roughly where it will end, but no space over here. Of course, this camera is going to change, but it's just to give us like a sense of scaling. So if I go, something like, let's have a look, something like this, maybe I want to see a little bit of like the foreground, just like in a concept. And let's do something like this to get started with, because then it's already, oh, sorry, I forgot one very important thing. I'm going to go for like a cinematic view. Right now, we are at 16 by 9. However, I like to always go to my crop settings and set the crop to 2.39, which gives us like a cinematic view. So that's my fault. Oh, and for now, set your current aperture to like 22. This means that it will use no depth of field, which will once again help us just during the blockout stages. So having this, I can now have a look at my reference, and let's say let's do something like this. Like it goes off screen here, but it leaves some space over here, and I still see a little bit of the foreground. So this is quite nice. I quite like this one. Cool. Now at this point you can go ahead and you can just press this button to stop piloting. And if you want to make sure that you can no longer move your camera, just to stay safe, you can right click, go to transform and turn on lock actor movement. And now we can just go ahead and we can continue. So I would say at this point, because we are getting quite over time, the last thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to decide the height of these pieces. Because right now this feels like such a large height, like it's more than a person, and I feel like over here you can see that there aren't even any railings or something like that. Like if you would fall off, it would hurt. So let's go ahead and just like tone this down a little bit, so we can go ahead and just sorry, I forgot to select this one piece. We are just gonna go in my camera actor, and I'm just going to then push it all down a bit until it feels more logical. And to me it feels more logical around this area. So knowing that, now what I need to do is I of course need to kind of like match it up with like a stair piece. So we are pretty much getting rid of, I think we're just gonna get rid of like one additional stair. And then for this one what we can do is we can go to our modeling tools, poly edit, and yeah, for this one we do need to kind of let's push this in. Oh wait, sorry. If you do that, you want to kind of like select all of them over here. And I want to kind of like push this in somewhere along this line over here. Maybe also push the height a bit down. Okay, so let's have a look. That I think is fine. So now if I just quickly again select these pieces and see when I line them up with the stair, if it still feels too high or if we can live with this. So that would be something like this. So let's go into our camera. Or one lower. Let's see, one lower is this. And one higher is that. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm gonna go one lower. I will go one lower and then that should do the trick. It's just really important to get this right now, because if we don't get it right now, it will be so annoying for us to change it again later on. So let's once again just go into edit or into our modeling mode, edit poly. I'm just gonna push this all back and this will be like the final. So yeah, we are not like bound by the concept art 100%. We can still make our own creative freedoms. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do this. This distance I was still quite happy about. So what I will do is I will simply grab these pieces over here. And I'm just going to push them back in until we are covering the rest. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all my final pieces. And what you can see over here is I sometimes select like the piece that I want to have my pivot point on last, because it will always place the pivot point on that one. And now what I can do is I can kind of like move it. There we go. That should do the trick. Let's have one last look in my camera. Yeah, I think that this is a pretty decent start already. I'm just gonna press save all and save everything. And yeah, this is looking pretty good. Okay, so we got this base. So what we will do in the next chapter is we will go ahead and we will start working probably on the foreground. And once that is done, we can start by already mostly constructing over here our centerpiece, because when we know that, we can change everything based upon this one centerpiece. So let's go ahead and continue with this in our next chapter.